Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly Life Mastery Show with myself, Adrian Hanks. So it's midday Thursday in Australia, Australian Eastern Standard Time, and I really want to welcome you to the show. So the first thing, as per always, is just to do a little bit of a sound check, video check. So anybody listening in, watching in, please do just let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me, that everything is running smoothly. That would be absolutely fantastic if you could do that for me. So I really appreciate it. So welcome to, my name is Adrian Hanks, author of the book Where Am I Right Now? Physically, Emotionally, Mentally, Spiritually, and author of several other books, and author of a about to be released new novel in 2020. So really excited to be here. So I work as a mentor, coach, counselor, and psychotherapist. And my main focus is to help people to get on track and to stay on track in their lives, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and all other aspects. So thank you, Trees. I can see and hear well. Thanks. Yes, thank you very much for that. Hi, Donna. Hi, Trees. And hello to everybody else on here too. So just in terms of the format for the program, just for some clarity for everybody, is once again, I'm not doing the psychic downloading work, working with my team of spirit beings and doing the medium work. What I'm doing is asking you to get really quite specific with your questions on your life. So physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, sexual, relationship, vocational, health and well-being, where you'd like some guidance and some support and some insight on where you are right now in your life. So if you ask a clear question, I can then hopefully give you some clear insight or answers to that. Last week we had some great questions, as we do every week. And remember, if you're asking a question on something, there's probably going to be the question for other people listening in who may be a bit vulnerable, who may not be quite clear on the question, because we're working collectively. When one asks a question, it's usually on behalf of others too, on a subconscious level. So if you are going to ask, then it will be on behalf of others too. It's just what happens. So yeah, Natasha, thank you. Oops, forgot I have a webinar. Have fun, Adrian. Thanks, Donna. You fly and do your webinar. So thanks for being here anyway. Therese, what's the topic today? So look, what I do in terms of filling in between questions and answers, because that can be quite wide. What I want to specifically look at today, Trees, and thank you for the question, is commitment. It's finding the commitment to oneself. And I've driven down to Coolangatta from the Gold Coast this morning. I was down there at 7:30. I was on the rocks with my Didge, doing my meditation in front of the ocean for half an hour before my 8 a.m. business breakfast with the ex-business network I'm involved with. And that goes for a couple of hours. And what came quite strongly when I was speaking there this morning was this idea of commitment. But beyond that, it's about giving oneself permission to do the work, giving oneself permission to do the personal development work and the spiritual work. Because oftentimes we get blocked with that subconscious mind saying, I don't deserve it, I can't afford it, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the energy. And all those are excuses at the end of the day. Because if we really want to get a coach, get a mentor, get some work done to take ourselves to that next level, into that 80-20 principle or that 90-10 principle, it's very hard to do that alone. And generally, 99.9% of the time, the way to break through that is to work with somebody, whether that's with me or whether it's somebody else who can help to recommend and for you to do that with, to break through that barrier of not being enough for ourselves, not being who we truly want to be, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sexually, financially, vocationally, etc. So it's about how do we break through that? So it is about giving oneself permission and making the commitment to do that. And I say to people when I work with them, come and commit to do some work with me for a session minimum, generally more like 3 or 6 sessions, or sign up and do a program. So you really break through those old patterns, that old paradigm, and break into something new. because we all get stuck, myself included, and I have my own coaches. I've got my mastermind partner. I'm actually at my mastermind partner's place right now here on the Gold Coast because I was heading home and he lives halfway. So I've stopped in his studio here. You can see some different artwork behind me. So I'm in his studio. We've been masterminding now for 9 years. And every week we meet Monday morning and then several times during the week to help each other break through the subconscious blocks, the sabotage patterns, the old habits, the old paradigms. And I've also got a collection of other coaches and mentors I work with too. And I've got my healing team, my psychotherapists and my body workers, etc. So it's about getting the team, but it's about loving oneself enough, which is usually the first step, to want to change, and then having the capacity to make the commitment to change. So that's what I want to speak about today a little bit. So I'm just going to see if there's any questions before we go first. I would like guidance for my health and home life. Will I move the next year from stress from my adult kids? So Therese, once again, you were on last week. I'm not tuning into that psychic ability. So what I am happy to do is to answer that question from a practical perspective to help you to make that decision. So I would like guidance for my health, and home life. Will I move in next year from stress from my adults, kids? So yes, Therese, things will change. Yes, you will move. Yes, you will get into better health. Yes, you will have less stress if you make the commitment to the work. So that's my simple answer to that one. If you commit to doing the work, and generally with somebody like myself, join a program or go and get a coach, get a mentor, and make it a part of your life and put in the time, the energy, and the money that actually takes, you will get changes. It's like if you want to learn to drive a car, you get somebody to teach you to drive a car in the beginning, because you have to put your feet in place, you have to change gear, you have to look in the mirror, you have to do all those things, and you find somebody to teach you to do that, whether that's a professional driver or somebody in the family. But usually it's back to the professional driver, because family teachers in that place usually cause more stress than anything else. So we go and we learn. If we want to scuba dive, we go and find a scuba dive instructor. We don't just jump on with our oxygen tank and jump in the water. So we get the teacher, we get the mentor, we get the coach, we get the psychotherapist, whatever we need. And then we put the plan in place. We find the vision, then we plan, and then we find the action to change our health. Like for instance, I'll give you an example, and Natasha, I will come to you in a moment with your question. I'll give you an example. Is in October last year, so that's almost 12 months ago, I really felt like I needed to get my body into better shape. So I had a super coach come on board, who is, he's got his six pack and he's super healthy and he runs and he's really super healthy and he understands nutrition and he understands working with calories and how to get the body in shape. So for 4 months we worked together, and I really watched my food intake. I was really cautious of my body fat, and I lost 17 kilos. And then in May last year I won my first half marathon because I got coached in doing so. So that's my answer to that. Is, yes, it can be done, and you will change trees, but you have to put in the commitment to do it and then get the vision plan action. So Natasha, I have to move again, a huge sense of injustice from the in-laws, and I'm blocked having to start packing as I'm apprehensive. Why? So if it's apprehension is usually fear-based. And I say to people, anxiety and apprehension are just other words for fear. So when we're in apprehension, we're in contraction, which is a sign of fear, because fear is contractual. So we contract into fear, we contract into apprehension, we contract into anxiety. So the question is, let's get to the core aspect of that, Natasha. What is the core thing that's blocking you, to start that packing? Is it the fear of being alone? Is it the fear of moving away? Is there something else there? So if you can get to the core aspect of what that apprehension is, and you can either do that by yourself, or if you want some support in that, go to my website, and everybody else can do this too. Go to my website, adrianhanks.com. Go across the top to the more, click more, one space down. It'll be book in a free 30-minute consultation with Adrian, and I can help you to get to the core of what that blockage is. What is that apprehension? Why aren't you moving on? Because it might be you don't know where to move to. You know, have to move again. Well, where do you really want to be? This might be the golden opportunity to move to the place you want to be at. And maybe there's a fear about speaking that or doing that. There might be some blockage around, you know, the affordability of that or the community there or whatever's going on for you. So it's about going to the core, Natasha. And I say this to everybody. If you get to the core and you speak the core and you face the core and you face the fears and the doubts and the lack of self-love, then we can break through things. But it does take time. It does take energy. Sometimes it takes money to engage with somebody to do that. But if we don't, what happens? We get stuck in the old paradigm. We get stuck on the hamster wheel and nothing changes. So we have to put in the time, the energy and the money, the three currencies I work with, most generally, to make changes in life. And we have to make that commitment. And it starts with self-love. I deserve the change. I deserve to live somewhere beautiful. I deserve to be earning over $100,000 a year. I deserve to be in a beautiful relationship. I deserve to be teaching what I want to teach or doing what I want to teach or do. So all that deservability, that comes a big part of the subconscious pattern is self-love. Trees, I'm finding it hard to look after them now. Their dad passed away 2 years ago. I'm doing a lot of repairs and we miss my granddaughter. Yeah, sometimes we have to put things in place, trees, and make big decisions. And the grieving process of losing somebody can take several years. It can take 2 or 3 years to really work in the grievance process around that. So I don't know whether you've gone deep into that grief and worked through it. And yes, you will miss granddaughter. I've got 5 grandchildren myself, 4 granddaughters and a grandson. And it's like hard not being with them sometimes. But we have to make some life choices for ourselves. Yeah, because they will grow, they will develop too, and how do we see them as possible, as often as possible, etc., etc. But it's about putting a life plan together, creating the vision, making the plans, and then putting things into action. So, but it's about making conscious choices. And in my work, I teach various different ways to help people, to make that vision, to get those processes in a place to make the planning. So I can certainly speak on that. I'm joining the exercise group soon. So Therese, I'm joining an exercise group soon. I get concerned when I hear people say, I'm not doing it right now, but I'm doing it soon. Because like I'm gonna. So make a date, put it in your diary, big red letters, phone up the exercise group today, book it in, make sure it happens. Otherwise it just gets in that loop and you go, well, I was gonna. So pick a date. Make the commitment, because today's all about commitment and self-love and making that commitment to do something. So don't say I'm going to join soon. Get your diary, work out when you can join, phone them up, book it in and make it happen. That's what I'll be saying right now, because that's the commitment. That's the commitment. Thanks, Natasha. I'm afraid of the unknown terrain. The fear of the unknown. Wow, absolutely. We all step into the unknown every day when we open our eyes from our sleep. We wake up and the day is unknown. We do not know what is going to come towards us in that day, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and all those other aspects. Every morning is an unknown. We can have a plan, but that plan can be totally wiped out in a nanosecond by something that happens to us. Totally can. So the unknown is real, and we can be fearful, but if we have the equipment, if we have the resources, if we have the tools to face the unknown, and we wake up in the morning with some clarity of sense of self, and we're present with ourselves, and we're ready for the unknown, and we're ready for difficult situations, we can get through life a little bit easier. But we have to have the tools, we have to have the resources in place to be able to face that unknown, to face the uncertainty of life. And bringing in daily meditation, bringing in some mindset work, bringing in some calming of the mind so we're not caught up in the the what ifs. What ifs are killers. They cause stress. What if? So what if what? Don't go into the what ifs, because that's an unknown. It may or may not happen. We can set some tasks, but what if I happen, or what if this, or what if that from the negative, it's really stressful. So we try to clear the mind of any of that and stay present. This is all about presence. So, I'm afraid of the unknown too sometimes, but I just learn to take a big breath, face it, name it. What is that fear? and then move on. So I had accident, pulled tendons in wrist, can't keep up with work around house, my son is full of problems. Yep. So Therese, you have to make a plan of how to move through that. What can you do physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and collectively to help you through the next stage of your life? And it sounds like, get somebody to support you. Make a plan. Actually get that done. What do you really need? Like, write down 4 or 5 things that you want to change in your life, and then write down what you want to receive after you've changed it. I can't sleep. So the outcome obviously is I want to sleep. So we have the problem, then we have what we want as the outcome, and then we have to find the steps in between to go from, I can't sleep and I want to sleep, what you need to do to make yourself sleep. And so that's an example of what we have to name it, what's not working, then we have to name where we want to be, which is the vision, and then we have to put the plan and the action into place to make it happen. And that's the personal responsibility. That's the commitment I'm talking about. We have to make the commitment, otherwise nothing changes. I'm looking at Bundaberg, but I don't know the place. So Natasha, go and have a visit. Go and have a visit. Go and do a reconnaissance trip and go to Bundaberg and have a look around and tune into the place. Go to the cafes, go to the library, go and see what's happening there. Jump on Meetup and see what's happening in Bundaberg. Google it. But yeah, if you're going to go and have a sense of you want to live somewhere, it would make absolute sense to go and stay there for a few days and check it out, I would suggest. So, but the beach looks amazing, weather looks great. It's got to be Gonna Windy. Yeah, Gonna Windy is an interesting place. Dry at the moment, and not much rain there, and very dry. And of course, there's no beach there either. So, but it's about making choices, Natasha, getting clear on your vision, and then go and check it out. Yeah, from Gundy to Bundy. That's a good little quip. Hi there, Fiona. Thanks. Yes, self-love. I deserve better life, stress-free. Absolutely, we all deserve that. But you have to make the commitment to want it, and the commitment to finding the tools and the resources and the plan to make it happen. Otherwise, you stay in the cycle and you stay in stress and you stay out of self-love, which is one of the most powerful tools we can find for ourselves. Yeah, they are unhealthy. Yeah. Hi, Melissa. Great to have you on here too. So let's get some questions happening so I can support you in this journey. What's going on for you right now in your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sexually, intimately, vocationally, or any other relationship-wise, whatever, where you might need a bit of support. Remember, this is public, so only ask what you're happy to share publicly. If you want to do something more private with me, you can go to adrianhanks.com, go to my website, look at what's happening in there, go along the top, go to the more, click down, and you'll be able to jump in the calendar there and book a 30-minute free consultation with me, and then we'll see if there's a fit and you might want to come and do some work with me. If you feel like you are ready to do some work and you're ready for that commitment, time, energy and money, and you want to come and do a 12-month journey with me, I do have a 12-month program starting on the 6th of October. And that's for a group of people who want to take life seriously and get some serious changes in their life. And we do one-on-one work, we do group work. We've got a live 2-day workshop here. I teach people how to get their first book on publication if you haven't got your book published, or something else, or some creative activity for you. So if you're really, really committed and you want to do something and you know your life needs to get on track a little bit more, and you want to reach that 80-20 principle or that 90-10 principle and get more out of your life, this might be the time to say, you know what, I'm going to commit for me. I'm going to commit for me to make some positive changes in my life, and I'm going to put in the time, the energy and money that is needed to make those changes. Otherwise, what happens, in 12 months time, I'm sitting here with the same people, the same story, the same issues, the same blockages. And I see that a lot. I go to different groups and speak to people, and sometimes I revisit those places. Unless people are committed to putting in the time, the energy and the money, and I go back and visit, it's the same story. I'm still stuck. I'm still doing this. I'm still not living the life I want to be living. I still don't have a clear vision. I don't have my plan. I'm not putting things into action. And the reason that happens, most generally, is because they have not engaged with a coach, a mentor, and it's often a psychotherapist to help the blockages. So that's the commitment. That's what I've been doing myself for the last 20 years. I've had my teachers. I spent 4 years to become a psychotherapist with my teacher. I made a commitment to do that. 10 days straight, 3 times a year for 4 years, plus all the work in between to see clients and have meetings and student study, to make the commitment. 9 years commitment with my mastermind partner. It takes a lot of commitment to break through to get into the 80-20 or 90-10 principle of living life to the full, physically, emotionally, mentally, sexually, and all the other areas. Yep. So let's have a few more little questions here if we've got some as well. I'm just going to go to Melissa. So Cherie, will I change my job? Well, it depends if you give your notice in on the one job and go and do another one. Are you ready to do that? Are you ready to change jobs? What do you need to do to change? Is it a slow transition, or is it a case of handing in your notice today and going to do something new? And secondly, what do you want to do next? That's probably the most important question. If you change jobs, what do you want to do? What's your passion? What's your vocation? What do you really want to do? And that's what I love working with people. I love to engage with people to get their absolute truth of what they want to do on the planet. So for me, I love to teach. Yep. I love to travel, and I love to write. So everything I do stems under one of those 3 umbrellas. I teach like I'm doing here, and I have my clients and my workshops, and I do public speaking, and I do workshops and all those things. And then I travel. I'm actually off to India in 10 days' time. Yeah, I've been to Europe twice this year. I've been to Kuala Lumpur this year. I've been traveling around Australia a little bit as well. I love to travel, and I love to write. I've got a few published books. I'm always writing manuals and exercises, and I've got a few books on the go. I've got my new novel coming out next year. So everything I do stems under those 3 things. Yeah, I teach in a few of my other businesses too, in the Blue Wren Foundation, in the Skyway Invest Group, and in other areas for those different aspects of my life. I teach and I write, yeah, and I travel with that too. So get clear on what you love doing, and then you might be ready to change your job. You get clear on the vision first. Very happy to help you with that too. AdrianHanks.com website to go and check that out. Melissa, my partner, is absent in romance and embassy. I'm waiting patiently. So Melissa, it's a really, really good statement, and I'm going to see that as a question for you. If your partner is absent in romance and intimacy, my question would be why? Why is it absent? What aren't you doing? Or what are you doing to keep that disconnect happening? Is he willing to come and do some work? I do a lot of men's work, and I teach men a lot about intimacy. Maybe there's been a wounding for him. Maybe he's felt rejected at some point. And when men feel rejected, even sometimes just once, it's very hard to get back into the romance and intimacy space. He may be carrying a wound, a story. How are you with him? Are you in your goddess space, so he's really in love with you? Is he in his God space, so you're really in love with him? Do you need to do some work together on your physical, emotional, mental, spiritual development to meet each other? What's missing? Name what's missing. Why is the romance and intimacy not happening? Are you communicating? Are you having your weekly relationship meetings? Do you have a relationship agreement or contract? What's happening in that space? Very happy to support you in that, because it sounds like there's a question in that statement. Why aren't we romantic? How can we get romantic? How can we get intimate? Well, you have to make the commitment firstly. You both need to want it. And if one of you doesn't, you have to question why. Why don't I want romance with my partner? Why don't I want intimacy with my partner? What's my wound? What's my story? What's my my reason? Yeah. What's blocking that? So you have to get to that. You have to get to that place. And I'm very happy to speak with you privately on that one if you want to, or if your partner's willing to do that. I'm a pretty bluggy bloke. I can talk to men. I run men's programs. I've been doing for 25 years. I talk very clearly about romance and intimacy, on how to get that going again, and to really get that spark back into a relationship. Because you have to question, if you're in a relationship with somebody and that's not happening, they say, well, why am I in the relationship? And maybe, at some point, I don't know your story, Melissa, but maybe it's time where you've actually not going to be together, and it's time to find the courage to separate. that's an option for many, many couples. 50% of relationships, marriages choose to separate. I'm in my second marriage. It's because of, the first one, compatibility started to fade. We separated, moved aside, and now I'm in my next marriage. So we all have different stories of whether we stay, whether we go. But if we're going to be in it, why not make the best of it and make the best of the relationship we can? Yeah. Trees, blockages, yes, I'm over it. Yeah, it's great to be over it, and that's a great statement, Trees, but what are you doing about it? What practical aspect are you doing to help you to move through the blockages? Because we can't just unthink blockages. We can't just unthink blockages. We have to work on the blockages, because usually they're deep. And we think it's gone, and then it pops up in another guise, another disguise. And then we think, oh yeah, I've got rid of that blockage, and then it comes up in another disguise. So until we get to the core of what that is, and we do the psychotherapeutic work around it, and we do the body work or the art work or the psychotherapy, whatever's needed, and get to the story of what that blockage is, seriously, nothing changed. We think it's gone. It might go for a day or a week or a month or even a year, but it will find a way to come back. It really will. It'll find a way to come back. So we have to find a way to get into the depth of what that is and work on it, generally in a psychotherapeutic way. Who wants to read the same page, hoping for an ending? Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, namaste. Looking at being made redundant. Okay, look, there's a there's a thing about redundancy. If you're getting a package, redundancy, fantastic, because it means you've got some cash to do the next best thing in your life. If you're getting made redundant because there's no severance package for you in that redundancy, it still gives you an opportunity to have your blank canvas and say, what next? And it can be a very challenging time, redundancy, but it can be a gift. There can be a real gift to move on to your next thing, the thing you really want to do in your life. So it might be tough, there might be some financial challenges around it or whatever's going on. But when you get in that space and in a year or two's time and you look back, you'll see the gift in that. If you do the work, if you make the commitment to go for what you want, if you get the coach, if you get the mentor, if you get the support to set up your business or to go and work for somebody else, whatever it is, but get clear on the vision of what you want next and see this as a golden opportunity to step into that next level of your life. I think redundancy is an amazing space to be in. I really do. I know it can be tough and you may have to move and you blah, 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 and you may have to go through a bit of a really challenging time. But at this moment, you can set your future in a very positive way. You really can, but get the support, get the vision, get the plan, get the action, put in the time and energy and money that's needed, and move on to that next space of your life. So Natasha, I love to teach art as a therapeutic tool to wade through emotions, to see life clearer. Yeah, look, I use art a lot. I'm a psychotherapist and counsellor, and I use art a lot, painting, drawing, clay work, and other mediums. It's a great way to get things out of the body and then to be able to see it from another perspective. So it's great to teach art. The question would be, Natasha, is it part of your vision of what you want to do in terms of teaching that? Are you an art therapist? Have you promoted yourself? Are you making a vocation out of it? And if you are, what's the next stage for you? Where are you going to take that next for yourself? So yep, so it's about setting that time for yourself, Trees. Yep, set time for next year. And, really put some real dates down there for yourself. Hey, thanks, Melissa. So Kylie, I'm feeling lost in my life. Is there anything for me, please? So Kelly, getting lost in one's life can be quite a challenging place. I'm not quite sure where I'm going. I'm a bit lost. I'm floating around. I haven't got my sail set. I haven't got my navigation set. So the thing I say about that, Kylie, is getting the vision. Because when we are a little bit lost, when we're off track, when we're not on track, there's a sense of being lost. It's like, I'm not quite sure where I'm going. I'm not really following any direction. So the first thing we do, Kylie, is work with you. And I'm happy to do this. Go to adrianhanks.com, go to the website, book in a session with me, and we'll get clear on where you want to go. What's your ultimate goal? In 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. What's your ultimate place you want to be? Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sexually, in relationship, financially, vocationally, or job. Where do you want to be? Let's set that goal up. I call that space the future potential self. See yourself in the future. We create that vision. And then what we do, once we have the vision and you know where you're going towards, then we can put the plan into action of how to get there. I need to do A, B, and C, and D, and E, and F to get there. And then the job is to make sure the action stages are taken up and actually completed. So the accountability every day or week or month. Yep. I need to do this. I need to go, I'll give you an example. I need to lose, 10 or 15 kilo body fat so I can actually feel healthier, feel more joy in my life, be able to run or walk or swim or do what I want to do, because at the moment I'm struggling. So that's the vision. I want to lose 15 kilos because I want to be healthier and I want to be more connected and in love with myself. The plan is to watch the food intake, to go to the gym, to go walking 3 times a day, etc., etc. And then the final part is the action steps, setting up the routine, making sure that I have the accountability that I'm doing it. So we vision, we plan, we action. And then you get back into life and there's a sense of not being so lost. I have my vision, I have my connection, I have my purpose. Yep. I'm studying in October to change my career. So there's a vision for you, Kylie. So right now you may be feeling a bit lost, but once you're in that space of doing your study, you might get a sense of, I'm not feeling quite as lost anymore. But it might be feeling lost in another area. It might be, I don't know your situation, but it could be that I'm not in a relationship right now and I'm seeking some intimacy, some company. Maybe you don't have a spiritual path at the moment and there's a bit of a loss. Because when I work holistically with people, the spiritual path is a huge component. Do you have a spiritual pathway? Do you have a spiritual belief system? Do you have a spiritual teacher? Are you spending time daily to tune into your spirit and to the other spirit beings? Are you clear on what that is? Can you name your spiritual path without being too generic? Are you clear on what you're studying? Are you clear on your meditations? Are you clear on the spiritual teachers and the spiritual history and the spiritual future vision? Because oftentimes in life, we have our finances in place and our relations in place and a few other things, but the key important spiritual nutrition is missing. So everything else feels a bit empty because we're not connected with that deeper spiritual aspect of our being. So I just want you to question that for a moment, Kylie. Are you on that spiritual path for yourself, that purposeful path for yourself? Are you really connected? Yep. So because in essence, that spiritual path is part of tuning into self. Yep, part of tuning into self, the deeper spiritual aspect of our being. Spending time with that one, with him, with her. Daily meditations, daily self-talk, daily reflection, daily artwork, daily affirmations, daily journaling, with self-love. This is the beginning. And then from that space, we can create our vision, do our planning, do our actions, and actually start to live that 80-20 or 90-10 principle. Yep. So giving, and I want to go back to the original thing from today. Somebody asked what the topic was, and it was about giving oneself permission. Can you give yourself permission? Can everybody on here give themselves permission to put in the time and the energy and the money to bring themselves up to the next level in their life, so that we don't keep living in that old paradigm, that old matrix? So we have a different vision, a different lifestyle. Can we make new choices with a sense of self-love, self-need, self-awareness? It's really, really important. Otherwise, you stay in the hamster wheel and in 6 or 12 months' time, you're still telling the same old story. And everybody around you is going, it's the same old story. Have you changed the story? Have you changed your paradigm? No, I haven't. Why not? Well, I didn't put in the time or the energy or the money. Well, usually all three. So you have to make that commitment to oneself. Yep. Yep. If you're having a hard time at work, Kelly, name it. Seriously, like name what is that thing at work that you're having a hard time with. Like put the spotlight on it. Name it. Write it down in big words on a piece of paper. At work right now, I'm having a hard time because ... and fill it out. Name it. And then look at what the issue is. And then write down what you want as an outcome. So right now at work, I'm having a hard time because I'm being bullied. My outcome is not to be bullied. Yep. And then you find the steps to reach that outcome. And usually I say that is with somebody generally to help you through that. Because one, they're objective, they're not caught up in that same story, and they can see it from a different perspective. So it's about getting that. Yep, same old story with myself about my son. Yep. So you have to break the story, trees. Otherwise, in 5 or 10 years' time, you'll be still stuck in the same story. So name it. Yeah, there you go, bully. Yep. Sometimes that just drops in, doesn't it? The intuition. Yeah, bullying. And it's pretty common. If you go to my website, Kelly, and for anybody else in here, and you go to the media page, you'll see a video on there about being bullied. It's quite an enlightening little video about not putting up with being bullied, because I just don't do bullies. I just don't do them because I've learned not to get bullied, because there's some strategies in place that you can use not to be bullied. One is to find oneself with a strong boundary. Yeah, not an aggressive boundary, but a strong boundary. And I did martial arts for many years, and my karate teacher used to say to me, Adrian, the best form of defense sometimes is not to be there. So it's about removing oneself from the situation before you get into the fray or when it gets too hot. So there's some strategies, but it's about having the strength of the purpose to be in your boundary, but also it might be a legal thing. If you're being bullied at work, what will it take to go legal? To go to the right person to speak about it. And if it's the boss being the bully, then it's a bit more complicated, but there are legal channels. I work with a lot of people in this space where we have to find an avenue to deal with the issue. Yep, we have to name the issue. Yep. Yeah, so Therese, aggressive doesn't work. So you have to find a strategy to stop the aggression. Because what's happening in the aggression, you're going into fight mode. So we're either going to fight, flight, or freeze, and you're going to fight, which is aggression, which is just, it doesn't help the situation. You have to learn to, tame that aggressiveness. Yep. So that's inner work, and that takes a lot because there's obviously a trigger that's being triggered. So we find out what the trigger is. And going back to Kelly, that bullying, name it, working with it, and finding out how you resolve that. So write down the issue, find out what the outcome you want. I don't want to be bullied anymore. I want peace at work. And then what's the plan of action to actually make that happen for you? I'm very happy to have a conversation with you on this, Kylie. Just Adrian Hank's website, go along the top, and I can certainly give some support in that area because it's quite common. A lot of people in the workplace, if they have a JOB, if they have a job and they've got an employee or they're working collectively with people, bullying can take place. And generally with bullies, nearly 99.9% of the time, it's about control, because by controlling the situation and bullying people, they don't have to expose their own wound. They don't have to expose their vulnerability. So people who bully, and bully can be done in a few ways. It can be done verbally. People who swear a lot, generally, the F word and the F-bombs all the time. That's a real big protection. As soon as I meet somebody who does a lot of F-bombing and swearing, I know they're carrying a big wound. They're just carrying a big wound, and it's like, you're not coming in, and the way I'm going to keep you out is with my voice, with my frigatives. A frigative is an F-sounding and there's one word in particular a lot of people use, and it's a defense mechanism. to keep people out. And generally they have a wound of some description, and they use the swearing as a control bullying factor. So they're in control. Yeah, and generally, sadly, it's from a negative control, because when people are sworn at, or if they're in company of swearers, energetically those fricative swear words go in, and people either go into the defense or they go into attack, or they go into freeze, because that's what that words and those energy of those words do. They put people into fight, flight, or freeze mode. It takes people out of their center, and oftentimes it's done very subconsciously by those people who swear a lot. And they, some people do a lot of swearing, and it's because they're in control, because they don't want anybody to come close. So check it out. If you know people who do that, and they, have that control or bullying perspective, it's because they're wounded. So I just look past that and I go, well, the poor soul is wounded. What can I do to support them in their wound, rather than attacking them? What can I do? How can I see beyond that? Because I know it's a wound. In my work, I've been doing this for a long time, 25 years. And it's sad, because I go, well, that person's really carrying a big wound. Really, really. So how can we work with that person? If they want to do some therapy, great, to, get to that, so they can stop that defense mechanism, so they can feel safe. Yeah. In the presence of other people, particularly strong people. I'm quite a strong presence. So I generally trigger that in people who are not in their own being. They tend to swear a lot around me, because it's their defense in case Adrian gets too close or challenges them. So you start to look at these things. A stress one, yeah. So yeah, drinking, gambling, addictions, that's really hard work. So what support can you give him, Trees? Where can he go to get that support? How can you talk to him to get that support? And sometimes you have to get tough love to get that, yeah. Yeah, and you swear when you get upset, because it's a defense mechanism, because you're wounded. So you swear a lot because you're angry, you're frustrated. And then on some level, you want to control the situation in some level through swearing rather than from another way. So we have to find a new way. Yep. Yeah, you have to set up that trace. You have to find a way forward to that. You have to find a way forward to communicate. So let's have some more questions. Rather than getting into conversation about this, let's do this privately, Trace, a little bit, rather than on the screen, if it's okay. But if you have a specific question for you or anybody else, let's get specific on the question. Yeah. So the question could be, rather than I can't communicate with problems when nobody's listening, the question might be, how can I improve my communication skills? Yep. How can I improve my communication skills so that I do feel heard? So it's about taking responsibility for the situation and saying, what can I do for me in my personal spiritual development so that I can enable others to grow and to change? Because if we don't do it ourselves, we cannot expect others to do it at all. And if I'm not willing to look at my self-love, I can't expect anybody I'm working with to look at theirs. So if we want other people to change in terms of their communication, their actions, and their addictions and their weight and all the rest of it, we have to be the example of that. We have to show them the way forward. Yeah. The fact that you're on this show shows me the fact that you're on, spiritual events directly, which is in our conscious, focused group in terms of spiritual development. It means that you're willing to do something spiritually and for your personal development. The very fact that you're here. So how can you take that to the next level and start to walk that talk a little bit more in your life? Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and all those other aspects. Yep. So let me have a breather. Let me have a let me have a drink of water. Time goes so quickly on the show. And just quickly, while I fill in some space for a little while, I'll say in 10 days' time I head off to India for 2 weeks. I'm going over there for Skyway Invest Group, which is a company I'm involved with. We do global crowdfunding to help support projects globally, and we've got some really amazing projects. I'm heading off to India, to Delhi for a week, where there's going to be a couple of days ago to Taj Mahal and doing a few things, but we've got a one-day leadership training with the CEO, Andre, and then we've got 2 days of absolute amazing time in a huge big stadium that holds 17,000 people. It's going to be a pretty packed house. There's going to be speakers, and there's going to be presentations and information coming from the company. It's going to be quite amazing. I think there's a few countries doing a few skits and a few presentations, some singing, some playing. I'm hoping to play some didgeridoo over there as well in the stage. And then after that, I'm actually flying down to Goa in India and spending 3 days there in a leadership training with Andre and the company, with a few hundred people. And then after that, I'm doing a 3-day yoga retreat in Goa as well. So I'm away for 2 weeks. I will be finding that time to do this show live, whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever's going on. I will get up. I've got the commitment. As long as I have internet, I'll be there. If I don't, it's going to be a real problem. But that commitment is there to do that. So commitment, that's the word. That's the word. I'm committed to this. I'm committed to my personal spiritual development path. The question is, are you, and what do you need to do? What do you need to do to make the commitment to take yourself to that next level? Have you got your vision in place? Do you need some support to get the plan in place? Do you need somebody to crack the whip to keep the action going for yourself? Hey, Donna. Good evening. It's a good evening from you. So where are you in the world if it's evening? You must be, in the States maybe. If it's evening. So it's because it's lunch time here. So if it's evening there, you may be way back in the States, I'm imagining, Donna. So just let us know. It's good to know where people are from. And Donna, if you have a question about your life right now, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, sexual, intimate, vocational, and there's something you'd want some support with, please do ask a question. Because when you're asking a question for yourself, most often, collectively, you're asking that question for more than one other person too. So if you have something to share, please share that with me and the group. So Donna, I see you have a question there, but I don't do card readings on here. There's plenty of other people on Spiritual Events Directory doing card readings and tuning into spirit and doing medium work. I choose not to do. I want to do something quite different. I want to bring in my coaching, mentoring, and psychotherapy skills to support people to make conscious decisions in their life about raising the bar to become into the 80-20 principle or the 90-10 principle in their lives. So physically more in tune, mentally more in tune, emotionally more in tune, spiritually more in tune, in relationship more in tune, in vocational, in finance, in all those areas of life. And I can do that. So the question is, could I have a card, please? So my question for you would be, hey, in Florida, hi, Donna. So my question would be around that, Donna, if you want to form a question, is I'd like to draw a card because I have a particular issue or challenge or question I have to ask that I want answered. So why don't you type that? What is the question or issue or challenge in your life right now that you'd like some clarity on? So rather than me pulling a card to give you some information, I'll do it through my skill and experience of trying to find a way for you to work through that. Because that's how I work on this Life Mastery show here. It's about asking a clear, conscious question and then some consciousness around the answer to help you to move forward in your life and to bring more life mastery into your life. Yep. So maybe put that around. About my daughter, is she okay? So, Donna, in that, with your daughter, is she okay? Once again, I'm not going to come down and say, yeah, I'm tuning into her angel and yes, she's all okay. What I'm going to say to you is the fact that you're asking me that stems and shows me that there's probably not the communication that needs to happen around that. So why aren't you phoning your daughter to ask if she's okay? What's going on there? That's the bigger question. That's going down the rabbit hole now. Yep. And I'm assuming, is your daughter alive? Is she still on the planet? Or are you talking about somebody that's passed over? And is she okay? Yeah. So clarity, that's a one word. Let's elaborate on that a little bit, Donna. So try to give me clear questions or clear ways forward. Because one word, I can't really pick up on one words. So please write sentences and ask me questions or give me some instruction to move forward. Yeah. About my daughter, is she okay? Is she living? Is she passed? Where's the connection for you? Where's the communication for you? What do you need to do to find out if she's okay? because I don't want to just tune in and say, yeah, she's okay, and she may not be, because underneath it, it might seemingly be that she's okay, but she might not be. So how can you seriously find out if your daughter's okay? Is there somebody else you can ask? Is there a phone call you can make? Is there a letter you can write? Can you check up on social media? Or if she's passed, I don't know. Can you check in with her through the spiritual channel? Because for me, when we're doing these shows together, what I'm really trying to bring forth for everybody in here is that conscious clarity. And when we ask clear questions, I remember my teacher Yehuda, I did many years working with Yehuda. I did 4 solid years with him to become a psychotherapist. A lot of time, I did a lot of therapy sessions with him too, and lots of one-on-one work with him too. And in the group work, we'd be sitting in class, sometimes 20 or 30 people in the classroom. Somebody would ask a question, and this is where I learned this from. It's a great way to work. He'll say, I cannot answer your question with clarity because you didn't give me a clear question. So please go back, spend some time, come back with a clear question, and then I can probably give you some clarity. But I refuse to give you a clear, or try to give you a clear answer when the question is not clear to me. We give each other a disservice. So please come back with some clarity. Go and think about it. Go and think about it. And it's a really good thing to learn. Get really clear on the question. I got a order on her and she can't be near me. Not quite sure what that means, Donna. I don't know if that's an AVO, DVO against her, where you can't be near her if there's an order and she can't be near me. But there are other avenues to find out if she's okay. And the question is, what is that avenue? Can you think outside the box? How can you find out she's okay? If you can't be near her, does that mean you can't text, you can't phone, you can't communicate? Yep, she beat you up, so it sounds like you've got an AVO on it. But then you can still find out if she's okay. What are the terms of the AVO? Can you connect with her through a third party? Yep. So it's about getting some clarity on that. So I can see and hear the story of that. But what's the focus? I want to know if my daughter's okay, and I'm going to find a plan to find out if she is okay. So what do you need to do? Maybe you have to think outside the box a little bit. So still legal, because you don't want to break any law, particularly if there's an AVO and you have an order on her. So if you have an order on her, maybe legally you can still connect to her. Yep, but she might be able to connect to you. So it depends on the legality of that as well. It's hard to get really clear on here on screen. But to know if she's okay is not something I'm going to do psychically. It's about you finding the wisdom within you to find a way to get that answer. Yep. I hear that. You can't be near me. So how can you find out in a different way? Think outside the box. Find some clarity around that. And if you want some support in that, I'm very happy to support you in that, or perhaps somebody else's as well. So we have the image, we have the picture, we have the story. Now it's about getting the vision. I want to know if my daughter's okay. What is the plan to get that? And what action steps? So VPA, vision, plan, action. Everything we do in life comes down to vision, plan, action. I visualize I want to do this. I'm going to plan it, and then action. Yeah, I know. I hear you, Donna. I want to know if my daughter's okay. So what can you do to find that out? Because if you choose to, you can go to a psychic and ask it, but it's not what I do on this show. So there's plenty of other people on the Spiritual Events Directory who'll be very willing to do that for you. And you can do that by, absolute freedom to do that. But it's not how I work. My role here is to empower you to find a way to heal whatever that wound is for you, to find out she's okay and find a conscious way of finding out. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to suggest there. So I'm getting close to my hour. We've got about 7 minutes left. So any other questions from anybody else in terms of how to support them to bring more life mastery into your life, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, sexually, intimately, in relationship and vocation, or what other area? And please, once again, get clear on the question, and then I can get a bit clearer on how I support you in that. Yep. So Donna, just on here, this is probably not the forum to get into a deep conversation around this. Very happy to do it with you privately. Go to adrianhanks.com, go and book in a 30-minute consultation with me, a free one, and we'll see what we can do where we can get a bit more into the story of what's happening for you here and a bit more clarity around that. Very, very happy to do that for you, because I'd really love to get this resolution happening for you in a clear, conscious way. And I know where there's a will, there's a way. So we will find a way to make that happen. So, and that'll give you that empowerment in your own being as well, which is what I'm all about. It's about empowering people to get to that 80-20 principle and to really find that deeper connection and communication. Yep. So I'm very happy to work with you on that one, Donna. So any last minute questions or insights or thoughts that one wants to share on the Life Mastery Show here with Adrian? And do remember, if you want to do something with me, you can do some one-on-one work with me. If you want to do a program, there's an online 12-week program that you can do. You can just download that and do it in the freedom of your own home studio or office. Great videos on there, great downloads, great support, great insights, some real clarity in your wisdom about how to bring yourself back on track and stay on track. So that's a 12-week program I offer as well. I do my one-on-one work, but I've also got that 12-month program that starts on the 6th of October for people who really have the ability to stay in a 12-month program with the time, the energy, and then pay some money to be there, of course, and make that commitment to some very powerful life changes. So we do some one-on-one work, we do group work. We've got a 2-day workshop in Australia where we actually come together for 2 days and do some real deep work. I show people how to write their first book or help to create something creative or get a product out there. There's lots and lots of things in there. Go to the website, adrianhanks.com, go to the programs page, and you'll see everything you get in those programs. And I can assure you, if you do something like that or do some work with me, you will experience real life changes. Absolutely you will. Physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and what other areas you want changing. So what I do is what I love doing. It's where I'm skilled in that space. And my passion is to help people to live more consciously and get more joy in their lives. It's just it's just an amazing gift that I have in this current incarnation of helping people and supporting people and having it as my vocation. So I teach, I travel, and I write. And I just love doing it. And if I can support you in any way to do what you love doing, then please do contact me. I'm happy to support you. So let's have a look at this time. We've got 4 minutes left. So what I'm going to ask you to do, for those here, for those that are listening to the recording afterwards, I get a lot of people tuning in afterwards listening to the recording, is learn to get some clarity. Learn to write down your questions clearly. Write down your goals clearly. If you go to my website, adrianhanks.com, and go to the shop, go to the store, you can actually download a free journal. The Where Am I Right Now Life Aspects Journal. And it's a good resource for you to start writing things on a daily process in those 10 aspects of life, of what you've been doing during the day to connect to those 10 aspects, and what went well and what didn't go well. Where you need to do some work. Where you're doing really well, you can pat yourself on the back. In other areas you go, oh, my emotional state right now is very good. How can I get that change? What do I need to do to change that? But by writing it down, by journaling every day, you get more clarity on that. So that's one gift I give you. The other say is go and if there's some bullying going on, go to the media page and watch that bullying video. And if there's anything else in that store, in that shop, or on my website that can support you, please just browse and find some of that resourcing and support. And once again, contact me, PM me, Adrian Hanks on Facebook, or go to my website, adrianhanks.com, make a connection, and we can do some work together if you're willing to put in that time and energy and potentially some money as well. TEM, time, energy, money. The 3 currencies of life to help us get on track and stay on track. So I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for your energy. I want to thank you for your questions. I want to thank you for your comments. because this show could not happen without you being here. I'd be sitting here staring at a screen, talking to myself. So I want to thank you for making this happen. I want to thank you for your questions. Thank you for those insights. And remember, it's about getting the support. It's about giving yourself permission to get the support. It's about giving yourself permission to grow. It's about giving yourself permission to love yourself. It's about giving yourself permission to put in the time and the energy and the money to make some real positive changes in your life so you can have more life mastery. So thanks again, and I really hope to see you, hear from you, and I'll be here again next Thursday, midday, on the Life Mastery Show. Adrian Hanks, signing out. See you.